Hi, my name is H Alkrty. Um, Thank you so much for your patience and for your support as well. Today I will give you a short presentation on the population or the world population or the world growing population. Um, as you know that the world population uh, is increasing. It's not discrete. Maybe it's decreasing or decline in some area, but overall the population are increasing, and that can be a problem. Therefore, the United Nations has to do something about it. Has to step in and to manage the significant increasing in the world or in the growing population of the world is very important. So in this presentation, I will be talking on the in several parts, as I said here, as it listed here, is almost 5 parts plus the resource or further information about the topic. So the first part is going to be about the world growing population. The second part about China and India are the most populated countries. We know that there is many people. There is a lot of people in India, and there is a lot of people in China as well. The third part is going to be about the world in 2100. So this is the people or the people are doing the research on the population are predicted what they are predicting the population would look like in 2100. Definitely when going to be there in 2100. So the coming generation, how many people will be around the world in 2100? Okay, the third part is going to be about Africa, as Africa right now, African nation is the fastest growing continent in the world. So there is many young people there in the between 18 to 35. There is a lot of them. So there is the youngest population in the world in Africa, and they are growing rapidly, very fast. The fourth part is going to be about shrinking population in Europe. This is a sharp contrast between Africa and Europe. The people in Europe the population are declining, whereas in Africa the population are increasing or are growing very fast. So we'll see the reason or the factors why the population in Europe is declining. We'll see that later on. The last slide is going to be about the United Nations role in population issues. We were talking about the United Nations Population Fund organization. There is a specialized organization on population, which it called the United Nations Population Fund. We will talk about it. The last slide is going to be about the resource. So I have placed some links there for people who are interested to get more information about this topic. So if you are ready, let's start with our first slice, which about the world growing population. There is fact here in front of us, as you can see here. It says in 1950, 5 years after the founding of the United Nations, world population was estimated at around 2.6 billion people. So that was in 1950. The world population was about 2.6 billion. After that, it reached 5 billion. So from 2.6 to 5 billion in 1987 and 6 billion in 1999. So you can see here the population are increasing very fast, like rapidly, significantly increasing the population of the world. So as you said here, in 1950 it was 2.6, billion people, and in 1987 it was 5 billion people, and in 1999 was 6 billion people in the world. All right, let's go further. In October 2011, the global population was estimated to be 7 billion people. So from 6 billion from in 1999 to a 7 billion people in 2011. And as of mid 2015, just 2 years ago, the world population reached 7.3 billion, meaning that the world has added approximately 1 billion people in the span of the 12 years. Spans mean the period of time that something exists or happening. We're talking about the population since 1950 up to mid 2015. So there is something happening about the world population, which are increasing significantly, rapidly are increasing. All right, it says here the dramatic growth has been driven largely by increasing numbers of surviving to reproductive age, which mean it related to the process of reproduction. The people are growing, and they survive age. They said when they are a baby. So, and has been accompanied by the major change in fertility, right? So there is the fertility rate is improving in some area in the world, and is decline in other area. For example, in Asia and Africa, the fertility rate are really high, but in Europe and in North America are declining for some reason we don't know yet. So increasing our urbanization and the accelerating a migration. So there is more people are migrating from place to place, especially from Africa to Europe, or from Africa to North America and the rest of the world. There is something driven these people to get out of their country to live somewhere else. As we know that there is many Africa right now, they don't live in the Africa continent. For example, in Europe there is a millions and millions of African people, black African people live there. In North America, in South America, in Australia, everywhere there is African people live there. They've been driven by poverty, by hunger, by whatever reason, so they get out of Africa and went somewhere else. All right, let's talk about the second topic here. Is about the second slide here about the China and India. It says here is the most populated countries. Yes, there is many. We know that there is a lot of people in China. There is a lot of people in India. As this is the figures here. It says here 60%, 60% of the global population lives in Asia, 4.4 billions. 16% in Africa, 1.2 billions. 10% in Europe, 738 million people. Look at the difference between Africa and Europe. In Europe there is 738 million people, and that represent 9% of the world population. Whereas in Africa, 1.2 billions, which represent 10% of the 16%. Sorry, 16% of the population, and in Europe is only 10%, and 9%, and here in Asia 4.4 billion people, and that represents 16%. So I'm just getting confused here. So in Asia 16%, Africa 10%, Europe 9%, Latin America and the Caribbean 634 million people, and the remain 5% in North America 358 million people. We talk about United States of America and Canada. This is in North America. and the Oceania, which means 39 million people. This word here mean, this is new word for me, but it mean the when I looked it up in the dictionary, it says here the region of the world that consists of the island of the Pacific Ocean and the sea around them. This is what we mean by Oceania, something like that. So it says here that this is the others fact here. It says China 1.4 billions and India 1.3 billions remain the two largest country of the world, both with more than 1 billion people, representing 19 and 18% of the world population, respectively. So China is 19% and India is 18%. Of just only one country represents 19% of the world population, and India 18% of the world population. So that is absolutely huge. It's a tremendous. It's a big. It's a lot of people in India and China. All the world in 2100, as I said earlier, as I mentioned earlier in this slides, it says the researcher or the people that they work on the world population are predicting that the world population is projected, which mean the plan of the future, increased by more than 1 billion people within the next 15 years, reaching 8.5 billion in 2030, and to increase further to 9.7 million in 2050 and 11.2 billion by 2100. So the result presented above the as based on a medium projection variance is different, which assume decline of fertility in fertility on of 4 countries where large family are still prevalent. Prevalent mean is very common, as well as a slightly increase of fertility in several countries, and one of them is going to be Europe continent, with fewer than 2 children per woman, or an average. And that is absolutely not good news. Do you know what? Let me tell you something here. The last few years, last 5 years, something like that, the revelation of gay people and lesbian has increased, and that affect the world population in Western country. So they've been talking about same-sex marriage, which is ridiculous. Okay, Africa. Let me talk about Africa. We'll talk about this topic, about this issue later on when we come to Europe. All right, Africa, fast-growing continent. It says here more than half of global population growth between now and 2050 is expected to occur in Africa. It's going to be in Africa. Africa has the highest rate of population growth among major areas, growing at pace at the period of this time of 2.55% every year in 2010 and 2015. That is really a very high numbers of population been increasing in Africa. A rapid population increase in Africa is expected, even if there is a substantial reduction. That I don't know. I don't know why they think there is a reduction of fertility will be in some part of Africa. I don't know why. Asia is projected to be a second largest contributor to future global population growth, adding 0.9 billion people between 2015 and 2050. So the African nation is going to lead the way. After that, the second largest population is going to be in Asia. Okay, shrinking population in Europe. The reason, factors influencing the population growth. So here it says here basically why the population in Europe are shrinking. Let's see the figures here. The fact, it says here in sharp contrast, the population of 48 countries in Europe or areas in the world are expected to decrease between 2015 and 2050. Several countries are expected to see their population decline by more than 15% by 2050, including this country here in particular, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Croatia, Hungary, Japan, Latvia, um, I don't know, Lithuania, Republic of Moldova, Romania, Serbia, and Ukraine. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce some of the countries properly. So this country, they are at risk to for in terms of decline, they are decreasing the percentage of their population. And it says here, let's see about the reason. Fertility in all Europe countries is now below the level required for the full replacement of population in the long runs, around 2.1 children per 2.2 or 1 children per woman. And the majority of case fertility has been below the replacement level for several decades, or for the last 10 years. So basically here it says right now the population of Europe, as I said earlier, like about 700 something, it represents like 9% of the world population. So in 10 years time or 20 years in later, or in 2050, most of these people will die because are really old. So, and the old people has to be replaced by young people, and this is how the life continue. But if there is no replacement, that means the population will decline. And I will tell you the truth, and I will tell you the reason why. Okay, let's see. It's still talking about the fertility rate. And it said here, future population growth is highly dependent on the birth of the future. According to the World Population Perspective 2015, it says here global fertility projected to fall from 2.5 children to 2.4 in 2025 and 2030, and 2.0 in 2095 and 2100. So the fertility rate is decline. Is getting less and less. Increasing longevity. This is another reason. Longevity means people are living for a long time. So there is many people live until 80 and 85 and 70. For example, here it says here overall significant gain in life expectancy have been achieved in recent years. Globally, life expectancy at birth rose by 3 years, that is from 67 to 70 years. And there is many people live until up to 95. They just live for a long time. And international immigration is the other reason. There is many, as I said earlier, there is, people are migrated from place to place, from Middle East to Europe, from Africa to Europe, or from Middle East to North America, or to wherever they immigrated, because of they looking for or seeking for a high quality of life. So it says here international immigration is much smaller component of population change than birth or death. So even says, in the previous video, it says that the immigration are slowing down the Asian population in Europe, and that's true. Okay, before I talk about this issue, let's add another reason for why the population in Europe are declining. Do you know why? I will tell you why. Because the bloody, what they call it, the same-sex marriage. Two men and two women, if they get married like same-sex marriage, they don't produce kids. They don't produce children. Men and men, if they are get married together, what's the point of life? They can't live together, and they will never have kids because men never get pregnant, and woman cannot get the other woman pregnant. Lesbian and gay around the world right now, the revolution, and this is the reason why the population in North America and in Europe are declining because of this blood thing, what they call same-sex marriage. And unfortunately, this is the same thing happen right now in Australia. This is really bad. How come? How come? And we will see the population will decline. And we will see more diseases, and the other thing that we will see is the social problem. We will see social problem. This will just will add problem to European and to Western country. Nothing else. This is my opinion, and this is a fact. And my opinion on being based on many facts. I've been reading, I've been making, doing too much research, and I have come to this conclusion. All right, it doesn't matter. It's up to them. Right now, we talk about the United Nations role in population issues. United Nations Population Fund. So as you know that the United Nations has a raised alarm about the problem of population, the world population. So therefore, they have to take some step to involve to address this problem, and this the really big issue. As I said, there is a organization, specialized organization called the United Nations Population Fund. This organization is started operated in 1969 to assume leading role within the United Nations system in prompting population programs based on human rights of individuals and couples to freely determine the size of their families. All right, we come to the end of this topic. So it was really great, and it was really important topic. So this is the last, sorry, the last resource, the last slides here about the resource. If somebody interested or anyone interested to get more information about this topic, just go to one of these websites and we'll get further information. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.